Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today for the third and final segment in our three-part AI webinar series. My name is Jennifer Heath. I lead the OpenBlue product marketing team. I'm so excited to be here today to round out this webinar series. I'm going to let our other speakers introduce themselves, and then I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping, and then we will dive in. Sudhanshu?
Thank you so much, Jen. Hello, everyone. I am Sudhanshu Dixit. I am lead product manager for OpenBlue platform and onboarding, uh, and I'm here to talk about the AI under the hood with you all. Thank you so much, Jen.
And David?
David?
Thanks, Jen. Excited to be here, guys. Dave Duncan here. I lead engineering for OpenBlue. IoT and data are my passion, so excited to be talking with all of you guys today.
Very good. Thank you both. Very excited to have you here. As you all know, our session title today is AI Under the Hood. We're going to be taking a look at the underlying technology, some of the considerations that we all have to take as we think about how we can leverage AI to have really effective outcomes. And the data underneath is really the most important piece. So really excited to dig into this today. A couple of things about our webinar platform, Big Marker. Over on the right-hand side, you will see an option for a chat. This allows you to chat with the entire audience. We would love for you to introduce yourself. Let us know where you're joining us from, what your functional role is in your organization. We work with a lot of different types of individuals in different sectors and organizations. So it's always interesting to us to see who's out in the audience. There is also a Q&A option. If you submit a question there, it just comes in to us on the OpenBlue side. But if you post in the chat, that will go to the entire audience. So definitely would love to see who's out there today and would love to hear any questions that you have along the way. We may not be able to get to all the questions in our live session, but we'll certainly follow up after. So let us know as those questions pop up. All right, to get us started today, we are going to do a poll. So today's session is all about data. Good data is absolutely essential to solid AI outcomes, but we find that there is a lot of variance in the confidence that individuals have in their building data, in their ability to access and aggregate that data and really use it in productive ways. And so that's our first question to you. How confident are you in your building data? All right, so we've got results coming in here. We'll give it just a couple of minutes or seconds, not minutes. Definitely a strong in the middle reading, which I think is probably what we would expect. There are probably some systems that are easier to access than others. But we've got a strong split there. 67% are somewhat confident. So David, I'm going to start with you. We talk all the time about data quality and its impact on AI. Talk a little bit about why good data is so important and how does OpenBlue make sure you have good data powering your AI outcomes?
Oh, great question there, Jen. And the poll results are interesting. That's exactly what I would expect to see as I talk with everybody in the industry. I'll go ahead and I'll start off here with the old adage that I think we all know: garbage in, garbage out, right? If you don't have good data, it's really hard to make conclusions about that data. And this is problematic as we bring that data into reporting dashboards and we try to make conclusions out of it, right? We can jump to the wrong conclusions. Then we find ourselves not trusting the data. And then we just find ourselves in a frustrated mess altogether, right? So it's absolutely important that we're confident and we have good data to work upon so that we can really take that and make actionable insights, right? Improve our buildings, right? Improve our occupant experience. So it's absolutely critical. Getting kind of into your question there on what does OpenBlue do to help, right? And this here is the part where there's no magical answer, right? But OpenBlue has done a ton of work on this, and we've really leveraged the experience of Johnson Controls in the building industry. And we have a huge plethora of connectors. We see devices with different vendors for the same outcome across many different buildings. One customer might have an occupancy sensor from one vendor in one of their buildings, and they might have a different vendor in the second building, right? And it's so incredibly important that those different sensors can be joined up together, right? And that you can get one actionable insight out of it at the end of the day. We do a couple things here to really get to good data, right? We're really big believers in normalization, right? You've got to clean that data up as it comes in. We spend a ton of time and a ton of work here, as I mentioned. We've got a lot of pipelines inside of our data platform that clean all of that data up, normalize it to our OpenBlue data model, right? And make sure that no matter what your vendor of your connector is, right, that you're able to get good data out of it. Sudhanshu, you and I talk about this daily. I'd love to hear your take on it.
Sure, David. My take on this is that thing people underestimate is that bad building does not look bad building data does not look bad. It looks completely fine. And as you pointed out correctly, a sensor, let's say, is labeled wrong, may return correct number, but and a duplicate asset still shows up on the report. Nothing really breaks in that situation, and nothing throws an error, but everything downstream quietly inherits the problem. So by the time AI is making recommendation or somebody is trying to get more insights out of it, nobody's asking whether the data is underneath is right or not. And that's why recommendation feels off. And the answer is almost always 3 layers below where we are looking, which is why the boring part matters. And Jen, that is really where the rest of this is about, right?
Well, and I think that's such an interesting call out and an important thing to think about, that those errors propagate. The error is not isolated to that one data set. As you aggregate and bring things together and apply it, that error is going to propagate. So I think that's a really important call out. So Sudhanshu, I'm going to stay with you here. The data platform has always been fundamental to OpenBlue. Like, it's literally where the product name OpenBlue comes from, is the concept of an open data model. Talk a little bit about the evolution of our data platform and what is new in it today.
Absolutely. Happy to. And I want to start somewhere unglamorous here, Jen, because that's where the real change is, actually. Onboarding and how we automate it largely. The onboarding historically has been like getting into the building, into the platform, and somebody walking on the site, or physically or on the screen, finding every device, every point, deciding by hand which one is actually, like, classifying them, renaming them. And on large campus, this is thousands of data sources. It takes months, and it takes single biggest reason, and it was the biggest reason why building data projects stalled before they even produced anything. What we've done is we've automated this largely. The platform discovers the devices, points itself, categorizes it, and what used to take months now take days. We are seeing implementation time come down by over about 95%. The second change that I mentioned earlier was about the architecture. The architecture is now AI native. And by that, I mean something specific. Every piece of data is classified, labeled against industry standard model. That's our OpenBlue data model comes into picture. So the platform does not just hold a number from a sensor. It knows what that number is, what equipment it belongs to, and what equipment sits and what it relates to. So it has all that contextual knowledge and information around it. That's where that lets you connect information across different equipment, systems, and spaces. And the third point that I want to that I care about is additional to this is that the same foundation that has powered our OpenBlue AI is now available for people to start using it. The OBI, when we say OBI to answer a question, or when Energy Comfort Intelligence tunes an air handling unit, it is reading the same data through the same API that the customer gets. We did not build a good version of ourselves and a limited version for everyone else. There is one platform and literally unlimited possibilities. So, David, would you like to take a little bit on this?
Yeah, we've put a lot of effort into what we call that OpenBlue data model. And while we get really excited about it internally and what it means, because really it means interoperability, that all of our systems can be based off of that same system of truth, right? That we're all speaking the same language, right? We get really excited about it because we didn't just create this as a standard on our own. We took what was used across the industry, Brick, and we found things that that were missing inside of Brick, and we contributed to it. We kept adding. And so all of the various sensors that Johnson Controls sees across all of the buildings that we operate and work with, we kept adding more to the data model. So we made a very composite data model, all built off of an industry standard Brick. Then we take that data model and we built it into all of our connectors. You know, our plethora of 100 plus connectors that we've got, they all speak this data model natively. That means that once we start gathering that data and bringing it all into our data platform, from the very source, it's all inscribed to this data model. Then our APIs, they speak it. And it's all really well documented inside of our developer portal for anyone to go and inspect. That same developer portal used by our internal people can be used by everybody else. So the same documentation we use internally is the same documentation we put out externally. And lastly here, I just wanted to kind of put a note to what we do to make sure we've got clean data, right? As that data comes in, we're inspecting each and every single data point, right? We know how often it should be reporting if we're pulling. If it's change of value, right, that's an entirely different beast, but it's coming in whenever it changes based off of thresholds and deadbands. But we're taking a look and we're seeing for spikes, any kind of errors in the data, right? Any kind of missing data points. And then we're able to detect early and often, do we have problems, right? And be able to surface those up to our operators so that they can go and figure out what's going on with those sensors. All of that, the same tools we've got internally, all is exposed externally so that you've got one clean data source.
I have to emphasize and double click on Sudhanshu's point that onboarding times have been reduced by 95%. I mean, that is just an extraordinary achievement and accomplishment from a technical perspective, but it opens up such an opportunity for people to do more, to be more aggressive in how they want to go after these different projects. There's so much potential in AI, but the data harmonization, the aggregation, the normalization has been such a challenge that I think people have been hesitant to really lean into some of the things that AI can do. And this is literally using AI to accelerate that part of the process, which is just an incredibly exciting development. So David, you touched on the developer portal, and I really want to lean into that. So the OpenBlue data platform is fundamental to all of our solutions, but the developer portal is very unique. So Sudhanshu, I'm going to come back to you. Tell me a little bit about who can access the developer portal. What can they do with it? What is the benefit?
Sure. Sure, Jen. The developer portal is the front door to the platform. It is documentation, it is our APIs and the sandbox where you can actually run some queries and feel the exact feel the APIs working together rather than just read about it. Who is it for? Straightforward. Your own developers, your system integrators, partners, anyone whose job is to build something with the building data rather than just look at the building data. So let me make that concrete with two customer examples. And I'm not going to name them either for now, but you'll figure out. All right. The first is a large financial services organization. They use the platform as a source of truth for the entire building portfolio, and they pull the normalized data straight into their own internal systems and into their own dashboards. The part worth noticing is that they did not have to build, no custom integration layer, no reconciliation of dozen different protocols, as David mentioned earlier, no cleaning of data. They could just trust it, what is being produced. And the work is where these projects usually die as they skipped all of it. The second is the pharmaceutical case, where they went further. They pulled the data out and in the underlying entities from the platform basically, and they pushed it to the live kiosk across the sites. So these kiosks run off on air quality sensors so that people walk in and pass and see real conditions in real time. We did not build that again. We would not have thought of it if they they decided what to build with it, and we made the data trustworthy and accessible enough so that they could use it. In both the examples, uh, that that I mentioned, bringing back David's point, neither one works if the data underneath is wrong. A live air quality kiosk showing bad readings is worse than no kiosk at all. And David, I'd hand off to you on this. What other customers do once the data is actually theirs to use?
The possibilities are unlimited. We've seen use cases from customers just wanting to sync all of the data into their own data lakes, right? Mine it for outcomes with their BI dashboards and more, to custom dashboard creation, to we're hearing a lot of use cases of just taking all of these new agentic tools, right? Claude, OpenAI, creating their own dashboards really quickly just by feeding our APIs into it. So it's just the possibilities are unlimited. The big unlock that we've given everybody is we've taken all of our expertise into normalizing all of that data and making it accessible.
All right, I am keeping an eye on our chat over here, and we've had a couple of questions come in through the Q&A. So if y'all are good, I'm going to throw a couple of questions at you here. First is around data ownership. So if someone were to put building data into the OpenBlue data platform, do they still own that data, and can they at some point bring it back out? What does that handoff look like? Whoever wants to take it.
Sudhanshu, would you like to?
Sure, David. Thank you. Yes, so you own your data, full stop. And the two examples I gave you earlier, literally customers are pulling their data straight back out into their own systems, into their own dashboards, into their own data lakes. This is not a workaround. This is how the product is intended to work. The platform is a way to make the data usable. It is clean, normalized, and standard, open for you to consume your own data as it is meant to be.
Yeah. Well put. The other thing I would say too is everything we've mentioned around our OpenBlue data model doesn't mean that we've cast all of your data to some sort of standard that nobody else can speak. Because we built upon BRIC as an industry standard, all of the systems that speak and read BRIC are able to read it as well, right? It's all accessible with turtle files and more. So it's the standard ontology. Any of your tools can go read it. So there's no lock-in there as far as our data model goes as well. We really believe in true like data federation, that you should be able to take your data and do anything with it.
Right.
All right, another question that has come in that I think is very interesting and will probably resonate with a lot of people. My buildings are decades old with a mix of protocols. Is this a challenge? Is this a problem that we have this variety, not just in equipment and vendors, but also in age? What does that mean?
I'm happy to take first stab at that, and then
Absolutely.
Sudhanshu, you can layer on top.
Sure.
That's the standard. It's what we see. It's the reality of it, right? We see buildings of various ages across every geography across the world, right? Part of the reason why I came to Johnson Controls is because there is such a difficult data problem with the brownfield buildings everywhere, right? Vendor systems of various ages. And as I mentioned earlier in the call, in your portfolio, you might have 10, 20, 50 buildings. They all may have different sensors across different vendors, providing the same outcomes to you as well. We in OpenBlue truly believe in being open. So we've built it with that hardest use case in mind, that nothing is similar, nothing is easy. And we built it to solve that challenge.
Right. And to add to what David just said here, the problem with the older buildings is that the naming conventions were sometimes different when they were built compared to what they are now naming. The onboarding process that we have today takes care of that, as David said earlier. We have the modular nature of the platform allows you to make sure that you can adjust the older stuff with the newest and latest greatest. so that you're not left behind, basically.
Well, and I think it speaks to the poll result at the beginning that you have everyone in the middle there of that somewhat confident. And I imagine it is a lot of those legacy buildings that are kind of bringing that number where it is, because it is a challenge if you're trying to manage it individually or in a more manual way. It becomes much more challenging. Okay, and then one more for you, Sudhanshu. What is new in 2026? What could I do today with the OpenBlue data platform that I couldn't have done a year ago?
I'll keep it short, Jen. Two things really. Onboarding, which used to take days, instead of it takes days or hours in some cases, which used to take months. So the project really gets off the ground, and the developer portal means that you own what you own your data, what you have. Build your own applications on top of it. Build it the way you want it, not by any other, by what somebody's offering you or by some other means. You talk to it, build your own system. So those are the main two things. Together, these things turn something we operate on behalf of something you build on. We don't build on, basically. So those are the main two things that will be new.
We just had another question come into the chat, which is a perfect lead-in because we were going to mention this as well. What about cybersecurity challenges? Obviously, accessing all of this data, harnessing all this data requires bringing this equipment, all these sensors onto a network, and that creates a new risk, right? You've got a new entry point now, maybe for a lateral connection into a different network. There is a significant risk there. How are we looking at that? What should people be considering?
David, do you want to take that?
Yeah, absolutely. Here, this is part of my passion here on the edge side. This is a real risk, and this IT teams across our customers, they're more stringent than they've ever been before, especially in 2026 with the rise of these frontier models and the ever-present risk of cybersecurity. So this has been something that's more prevalent this year, but absolutely has been talked about all the way up to here. Johnson Controls, we've had the ability to kind of see this coming. A few years ago, we made a key acquisition of our tempered airwall zero trust cybersecurity. It is, to kind of put it in more layman's terms, it's a very fancy VPN tunnel, but it does a lot more than that. It layers on the HIP protocol, in which we're able to do identity-based policies of which devices can talk to each other inside of the network. So putting in one of our edge gateways with this technology embedded into it, into a customer's network, that gateway is only able to talk to the devices that the customer allows us to, right? And is only able to allow to talk to the endpoints of our cloud, so that there is no ingress, there is no unexpected egress. It's 100% a zero trust solution of defined who can talk to who. There's a lot more science that goes into that, and I've simplified it a bit here, and I don't want to egregiously oversimplify it because there's a ton of really cool IP that goes into it. But we're seeing more and more customers go to this zero trust cybersecurity because they really value knowing what's on their network and what can talk to what. We do have an upcoming webinar, I know, Jen, that you could probably plug for everybody here, that we're going to talk even more in depth on cybersecurity, where we can give it the justice it deserves.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, I'm not going to miss an opportunity to tell about our next upcoming webinar. September 16th is AI and cybersecurity. And it is really a fascinating topic. You know, I think for me in the last year or so, really coming to understand more about the data platform, how we access all these different data sets. For so many years, the assumption is that cybersecurity is really about your identity. It's about your bank account. It's about digital information that is maybe in the cloud. But today, as we're looking to apply this technology to building management, to large scale equipment, it brings in, it's no longer just informational technology, it's operational technology. And it's just a completely different conversation. And it is incredibly important. There's more risk today. We're hearing things in the news about cyber attacks on, for example, water systems. I know during the the early stages of the Ukraine-Russia conflict, there was a lot of cyber attacks between critical infrastructure. It is really kind of a brave new world in that way, and it is so important for us to consider that and think about it. So definitely invite everyone to join us September 16th to really dig deeper into that very important topic. So thank you to the individual who put that in the chat there. We are coming up on our time. So David and Sudhanshu, I'm going to give you each a couple of minutes here for some closing thoughts. Sudhanshu, I'll start with you.
Sure. Thanks, Jen. Just one thing, and this is about trust, as we have been talking about the cybersecurity and trust, right? So when people ask, how do we know the AI is right? The instinct is to talk about the model. But I would like to start with data. Standardized, aligned, industry model, AI is reasoning basically, but over a consistent picture of the data that we have in place first. So sources that disagree with each other and can still make a better prediction and better outcome only if we have those key foundation aspects in place. That is mostly the problem with the interpretation solved before the model is in. So on top of that, humans stay in loop. OBI recommends people to approve, and any recommendation traces back to the data that produced it. So that's where my one take is about the trust, making sure that the standardized, aligned, and industry model that I would like to say. It's an unglamorous work at first, but the results that come out of that foundational work is I'd say, you have unlimited possibilities there.
That's a good take there, and I love how you kind of close that off with the word foundation, right? To use the analogy into the industry of buildings, right? A lot of people don't look at it, but at least to structural engineers, right? The foundation is the most important part that you're building upon. That's how we look at it here as well. Yeah, this is a critical point for us this year of we're making this platform available for everybody. What we've been building our applications on, the real-time commanding down to the BMS and the subsystems, right? We're now making it available for everybody. So now as we look into the future, we're more excited about working together with customers to enable the use cases, to enable the dashboards they're building, the apps they're building, the agentic experiences as everybody's moving more towards chatbots and making everything more personal, right? And bringing it into their suite of how they do business. So I'm really excited for what we're going to be enabling there into the future.
Very good. Thank you both so much. And thank you for just having a good conversation about this today. I think it's a technical topic. It can be kind of a heavy topic, but it's an important one for folks to understand as we look to the future of leveraging AI to improve the performance of our buildings, the efficiency of our buildings, to lower those overall operating costs. There's so many benefits in the long run for these different AI applications, but that foundation is absolutely essential. So thank you both so much for spending the time today to share some of your knowledge. Thank you so much to everyone in the audience for joining us today. If you submitted a question that we did not get to, we will follow up with you after the fact, and we will be sharing out this recording as well. If you have any follow-up questions, feel free to contact any of us, and we hope to see you in September for AI and cybersecurity.
And
thank you all
before
so
we
much.
close out, thank you so much, Jen, for conducting this session. This is absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Pleasure.
Thank you all.